India is now one of the most strategic allies in the world of the State of Israel. Israel wants the United States to collapse. Israel wants the US dollar to collapse. Israel wants the price of oil to rise phenomenally. And that is why India made a deal with Iran to cut the American throat. Because India is with Israel, not with the United States. Saudi Arabia today is an ally of Israel, not of the United States. No, they're all Israel allies. Any more questions? Yes. Yes, he is correct. Islam has an ethics of warfare, and our ethics of warfare, which of course the Western world doesn't have, is that we do not attack non-combatants. No, we do not wage war indiscriminately. We attempt to respond with arms only to combatants. But Ayatollah Khamenei has not given a sufficient opinion. The first part is correct, that the use of nuclear weapons is haram. But the Qur'an has ordered us, وَعِدُّوا بَعْدَ أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ وَعِدُّوا لَهُمْ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُم مِّن قُوَّةٍ وَمِن رِبَاطِ الْخَيْلِ تُرْهِبُونَ بِهِ عَدُوَّ اللَّهِ إِلَى آخِرِ الْآيَةِ. Allah wants you to build deterrent power. Build deterrent power. Build that power that the enemy will respect. The enemy does not dare to attack you because the enemy knows the consequences that will entail if you are attacked. Why do you think the United States does not want Israel to attack Iran? Because the United States knows what kind of weapons Russia has. Yeah. And because Russia possesses these weapons, they function as a deterrent in accordance with the Qur'an. So to possess nuclear weapons and to use nuclear weapons as a deterrent to prevent others from attacking you, that's halal. Number two, when you are attacked with nuclear weapons, weapons which cannot discriminate between combatants and non-combatants, when you are attacked with such weapons, you have the right to respond with the same weapons. Because the Qur'an says, جَزَاءُ سَيِّئَةٌ سَيِّئَةٌ مِثْلُهَا. And it's because of that that we have this form of slavery in Islam. That when the enemy enslaves our prisoners of war, who are imprisoned by them, enslave them, then the law of reciprocity is effective. That since you enslave those prisoners of war, we will enslave your prisoners of war. So similarly, you have the law of reciprocity. If you attack us with nuclear weapons, we will respond with nuclear weapons. Any more questions? I answered this question many years ago. I said the plan is to bring down the whole world of paper money because they don't need it anymore. Paper money has already done its job of ripping off mankind. They have something better than paper money. They have something, a new money. I don't think you're going to believe this one. Money you can't see. Invisible money. Huh? Money you can't touch. Intangible money. Who except someone with the mental acumen, the intellectual acumen of a donkey, will accept that as money? Money you can't see, money you can't touch. Huh? But we're going to get fatwa tomorrow, yes, it's halal. Electronic money. Electronic money, digital money. Now you save yourself, you don't have to have a printing press. You don't have to buy paper. You don't have to buy ink. No, all you have to do is to type in the money. And the same way you type in, you can type out. Yeah. You can't take your money out of the banking system. No. Tabule. You can only transfer your money from one account to another. That's all. So your money is held hostage. And the Zionists can wipe out your money anytime they want, because governments can be bought and governments can be sold. And when we want to know who is Rome, the answer is simple. Go to the Qur'an. Because Rome is in the Qur'an. Ghulibatir Rum. And there are no two opinions on the subject. The Rome in the Qur'an is the Byzantine Christian empire that was based in Constantinople. Not the one based in Rome in Italy. No, not the Western European Christianity that has the Anglo-American Alliance and has given us NATO. Not that one, not that one, not that one. You will make an alliance with Rome, meaning this one, these Christians. When Muslims conquered Constantinople, then the patriarch, who was like the Pope of this part of the Christian world, he announced that the headquarters are now transferred to Russia. So this part of the Christian world, which is described in the Qur'an as Rome, has its headquarters in Russia. So when the Prophet said that you'll make an alliance with Rome, of course this is Akhir al-Zaman, that you're going to make an alliance with Rome in Akhir al-Zaman. Akhir al-Zaman doesn't come to the world until you see the tall buildings, huh? And so we are now seeing the fulfillment of that prophecy. Iran is in an alliance with Russia already. Pakistan is moving towards the same thing. And if NATO attacks Iran, then Turkey will have a civil war. Because the blind, the deaf and the dumb Turkish government, the deaf, dumb and blind Turkish government, which still remains a firm and faithful ally of NATO, and which supported NATO in its occupation of Libya. The deaf, dumb and blind Turkish government, which is supporting NATO in its attempt to make of Syria another Libya. That deaf, dumb and blind Turkish government still remains in NATO. But the Turkish Muslim people will say enough is enough. And there will be civil war in Turkey. The Turkish government could be listening to me, it doesn't matter. Because this is going to come. And NATO is going to be thrown out. And when NATO is thrown out of Turkey, that will be the conquest of Constantinople, which is there in the Hadith. That's coming. I don't know how long. But the questioner asks, if we are going to make an alliance with Rome, how come we sent our people to the Negus of Abyssinia? Answer is that the alliance in Rome is in Akhir al-Zaman. Any more questions? London has been doing it. There's a certain part of London where you have all these exchanges, the cotton exchange and the this exchange and that exchange, the gold exchange. And the Zionists are furiously at work there in manipulating price, particularly the price of gold, more than anything else the price of gold. So it's not a free and a fair market at all. It's a very cleverly disguised, manipulated market for ensuring that the price of the commodity is fixed where they want it to be fixed. We, on the other hand, stand for a free and a fair market with no control at all over the market, so that market forces by themselves will determine prices. Okay? Who is going to control the money when the US dollar collapses? The electronic money answer, the banking system. The banking system is going to be far more powerful than any government in the world today. And who controls the banking system? It is not an anti-Semitic statement for me to say that European Jews, the Zionists, control the banking system. That's the truth. That's a fact. And if we're not allowed to speak facts, we might as well go and live in a mountainside. Any more questions? Number one, in the effort to bring back a sunnah which we have abandoned, in the effort to bring back that sunnah, we are doing this as a religious obligation, not as a commercial obligation. We are not concerned about whether this is a good investment or not. Yeah, there are people who write to me, you told us buy gold, now look what happened. We are not buying dinar and dirham as a commercial investment. We're doing this to fulfill a religious obligation. I told you Sheikh Nazim Qubrusi of the Naqshbandiya, for years now he's been asking his people to buy gold. But I'm glad that you asked this question, because I made a mistake and I want to correct it tonight. There is a hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ said about Akhir al-Zaman that if you have land, hold on to your land. And if you have animals, hold on to your animals. So it's not only gold, not only dinar and dirham, it's land and animals. And then a man asks, O Messenger of Allah, what should we do if we have neither land nor animals? And he said, strike your sword on the edge of a stone and seek a way out. And I misunderstood. I understood that striking on the edge of a stone meant sharpening the sword. But I think you can forgive me for coming to that conclusion, when in fact it is the other meaning. I was told that striking your sword on the edge of a stone would mean damaging the sword, so that the sword would no longer be used for armed combat. So I want to correct that mistake that I made in the interpretation of the word strike your sword on the edge of a stone. So gold and silver, land and animals. Next question. I believe that Russia has two faces. One face of Russia is Magog, definitely. But the other face of Russia is Rome. And this is part of the divine scheme through which they are deceived, because that part which is Rome is now coming up. And if Islamic scholarship was awake today, we would have delegations of Islamic scholars going to Eastern Europe, going to Greece, going to Moscow, and entering into dialogue with the Christian scholars of Rome, of Naqshbandi. Yes, Sheikh Nazim Qubrusi, he's called Nazim al-Qubrusi, he's also called Nazim al-Haqqani. He's about 90-something years of age now. He's a very old man, okay? And he is a Sheikh of the Naqshbandiya Sufi order. And when I asked the question, are there any Sufi sheikhs who are talking about money? Then I remembered, yes, Sheikh Nazim has been speaking for a long time now about bringing back dinar and dirham. concerning the age of Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, when it is alleged according to the hadith of Sahih Bukhari that the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam married me. That the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam married me when I was 6, and I joined his household when I was 9, meaning I became his wife to live with him, sleep with him at the age of 9. I wonder, why is it so difficult to understand? Is it really so difficult? We have the evidence from which this emerged. It was ru'ya. Ru'ya is a vision. And in the vision, the angel came with a tree, a golden tree, and with something on the tree, and with a silk cloth covering the tree. Did you not hear about this? And said, "O Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, Allah has sent this for you. Uncover it." So he took off the silk covering, and there was Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha on the tree. Why is it so difficult to understand that Allah had ordained that she be his wife? Why is it so difficult to understand that if Allah has married you, how can you have another marriage ceremony? How can you have another marriage ceremony here? Why is it so difficult to understand when Allah has decreed a thing? Then you have to submit, not repeat the marriage ceremony. If you believe that the Prophet ﷺ made a proposal of marriage to Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala, and he had the choice to accept or to reject, and then they had a nikah, a ceremony, I suggest you should buy a one-way ticket to the moon. Why is it so difficult to understand? Once Allah has married them, there is no other marriage ceremony. Why is that so difficult to understand? So when the hadith says that the Prophet married me, that's false. That's a fabricated hadith right away. Secondly, there are many verses of the Qur'an I can use, but I prefer not to do it here in public with women present, that it is haram to have sexual relations with a girl before she becomes a woman. The feminist movement declares that she will become a woman at the age of 35. It used to be 15, then it went 25, then it went 35, maybe 45 next month. Well, that's them and their nonsense. That is them and their nonsense. Take your nonsense away from me. I don't have time to waste with you. In Islam, a girl becomes a woman in our definition. In our definition. Take yours and throw it in the garbage bin. A girl becomes a woman in our definition when she can make a baby. If you don't like that, then go outside. Go walk in the dark. What more can I say? The brainwashing is so intense today. This is Islam. A girl becomes a woman when she reaches the age of puberty. They don't like that in Washington. They don't like that in Paris. Well, take your religion and go. This is our religion. Don't change it. Once she has become a woman, she reaches the age of puberty. She now has a monthly cycle. Only now is it halal for you to have sexual relations with her. Only now. Before this it is haram. Where is the proof? I would prefer not to discuss that in public. But it's there in the Qur'an. Time up. Yeah. Yeah, 1 second, let me finish. At what age was Maryam alayhi salam when the angel came to her and informed that you're going to have a baby boy? Was she 35? And sisters in Islam, can you answer me? Or was she 25? The divine wisdom is better than yours, your feminist revolution. Maryam had just reached the age of puberty. And so she could no longer live in the temple. And she had to leave the temple and go back to her mother's home. It was at that age that Allah, in His wisdom, which is better than your wisdom, sent the angel to her. And she became pregnant at that age. It is at that age that you can have sexual relations with a woman, with a girl. And so why would you marry a girl at the age of 6? When it's haram to have sexual relations with her? Huh? What kind of brains you have? The brains of a donkey? Or are you going to put cameras in the house to watch man? He can, because it's his wife, she's age 6, you can take the child into the house, but you cannot have sexual relations with her. So you can put cameras in the house to watch? What nonsense! What foolishness! How can you say he married her at the age of 6 when you're not allowed to have sexual relations with a girl? Obviously it's a fabricated hadith. And somebody has to have the courage to stand up and declare it's a fabricated hadith. I think we should accept that that's the last question.